my name's Richard. Welcome to We're Not Wizards, and this is a preview, a Kickstarter preview for a game called Mythalix, which is coming to Kickstarter over the next couple of weeks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to play the game, the basics of the game, the basics of the gameplay, because it is coming to Kickstarter. It is subject to the usual, in that the mechanics could possibly change, the artwork could possibly change, the mechanics could possibly change. We don't know. We're going to show you very quickly the basics of the gameplay, and hopefully you'll either whet your appetite or not, as the case may be. So, Mythalix itself is all about the Grecian gods, and the Grecian gods themselves are trying to collect one of each four elements in order to create the mystical Mythalix, and thus win the game. It's a 2 to 4 player. It's a basic kind of what you would call area control game, and on your game you have a couple of different moves and actions that you can take in order to further your agenda and therefore potentially win the game. Action is taking place across this board here, hexagonal space, because as we know, all the best games have a hexagonal spacing, and the best previewers can actually also say the word hexagonal. Right, okay, so action centers all the way around this board. Look at this. Swish, eh? Swish, and I can move it up, like swish, and back and forward. It's crazy. It's just fantastic. What you do is you're going to select yourself a god. Now you've got various different gods of various different persuasions. I've got Hades, who is the god of hell, and then you've got like Poseidon, who's the god of the sea, and you've got Hermes, who's the god of losing people's packages, and Zeus, who's the god of having really, really good hair, along with people like Hera, who is not the goddess of death, but the goddess of the queen of the gods. So there you go. So you're going to pick yourself a god or goddess, and you're going to place it on your player board, and then you're also going to get 3 of these gold cards. So you don't get gold coins, because, you know, nobody uses money nowadays. It's all digital and electronics. It's all in the gold cards instead, you know, because it's modern ages and stuff like that. Isn't it fantastic? And you've got this player board as well. Now, on your player board, you have got spaces. You can have a warrior or an army here. You can have a warrior or an army here. You can have an army here. You can have an army here. You've got spaces for 4 different types of cards, and they do different things. So, for instance, I have got an army card here, which is Nike's army. In Nike's army, basically, you gain 2 for all of your attacks. And what will happen is that's an army card, so that will sit in a slot, and that will have an effect on the overall game, which means because you have that in effect, you can then move your attack. You can put it on the 2, so that's to remind you you're going to get a little bit of a bonus when you are going to be attacking. On the other side, you've got, like, say, this warrior card. This warrior card is the 3-headed Doug Cerberus. And what Cerberus does is you're going to replace one of your dice with a 12-sided dice instead. Your standards for when you're playing for Hades or Hades his friends, you get 2 times 6-sided dice. SD means sided dice. Who knew? Every day's a school day. So you'll also get with that as well. I'm just going to put that back. You'll get this wonderful looking miniature. It's not a miniature. It's like an acrylic sculpt. Look at that. You know, solid, see-through, bit chunky, no need to paint. What's not look like? But anyway, what you'll be doing is you will be moving your god around the board. Get it right. which as we say is a hexagonal board, and as I said before, all the best games use hexes. So there we go. Round is very, very simple. At the beginning of the round, you will collect any of the bounties from any of the strongholds which you have on the board. And we'll get into strongholds in a second, but you'll start off by using any gold that you have accumulated in order to buy more cards. So certain cards cost certain costs. Like your army has a cost of 3, where power cards, they've got a cost of 3 as well. They're like one-offs, basically. Mythical cards, they're providing kind of like, again, kind of additional kind of one-off specials that you can kind of use. And you'll either gain these cards by buying them at the beginning of a round, or by gaining through like attacking an area and winning an area and having kind of like a stronghold as well. Which you can see on the map. There are little, that's the power card symbol, there's a power card symbol there, there's a power card symbol there, mythical card symbol, and this is the mythical card symbol in the middle of the board. But then how do you play? I have no idea. No, I do have an idea. Basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be traversing about the board based on your god. You'll be moving a couple of spaces. Everything's fine and dandy. If you move into a space which has no markings on it, then job's fine. You'll just gain a gold coin for effectively conquering that kind of area. If you move, however, into an area which has a shield on it, that shield has a certain amount of defense, and your idea is what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to roll your dice, and if you beat the defense, then you basically have the ability to claim the reward for having that particular space. But these spaces that have the crowns on them, you've also got the ability to add in a stronghold. Now, a stronghold basically allows you to control and claim that particular space. So if I won the stronghold, for instance, for this one, that one there, then that automatically, as you can see, it adds 5 focus to the defense on that square. If anyone else comes along and they want to try and take over that square, the defense is automatically increased to 5. But it also means at the beginning of the next round, I am going to get myself a lovely power card because I control that space. And but you've got to keep an eye on it because you only have 4. I know that's only 2, but I've already got 2 on the board. So it's 2 plus 2 equals 4. But as you put your strongholds down, then you've got to keep an eye on making sure you're getting the tactical advantage on areas that you want. Yes. Play will continue on that. You'll have your attacks. Each of the gods themselves all having a defense of 20. So if you defeat another god, then if they have an element, you'll take an element from them, but you'll also knock them back to the very, very beginning of their area. And the idea is, on each of the 4 corners, there's an element, yeah? Not an elephant, an element. Earth, wind, fire and water. And what your idea is, you'll be going about the board and you're trying to gain each of one of these. If you're playing a 2-player game, it's just 3 elements you need, but if you're playing a 4-player game or more, then you need a 3 or 4-player game, then you need to collect one of each of the 4 elements in order to combine them to create the Mythalix and therefore kind of win the game. Things you've got to keep an eye on, you've got to keep an eye on making sure that when you are attacking people, that you're using any kind of bonuses that you have as well. You've also got to remember at the beginning of the round to make sure that you're adding on each of the bonuses that you get at the beginning of every kind of round as well. The gameplay itself takes about probably a quick 2-player game can probably be about 40 minutes. 4-player game could be easily well over an hour. but it's not a huge number of rules to learn. It's a very kind of simple game to learn itself. As you're going around the game, you'll be wanting to get your strongholds in certain areas to make sure that you've got your coins, and then at the beginning of the round you'll buy your power cards, and that'll hopefully increase the amount of power that you have, so you can head in and claim victory by gaining one of each of the 4 elements. As I say, the artwork mechanics and everything like that are obviously subject to change as it goes through the campaign. It's coming to Kickstarter over the next couple of weeks. We don't have a price, but if you're interested, we will be making sure that we put some links in the show notes in this video. So hopefully it'll be there, so you can click a link and check out the campaign. So this is Mythalix. My name's Richard. This is We're Not Wizards. It's Sunrise Game Studio that's bringing this to you. So until the next time, stay safe, roll 6s, make something awful, and try not to defy the gods. Try not to defy the gods. 2020 and that. But until the next time, goodbye!